watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. Fire officials say a man is missing after a fire destroyed his Island Park home. The second floor of the Sunset Avenue home collapsed during the fire. Now officials are using equipment to slowly take the house apart in case the man is inside. The flames you see here began just before 2 this morning. And a Holbrook father has pleaded guilty in the overdose death of his toddler. Wilkins Adonis admitted to keeping drugs in his 14-month-old son's bedroom and pleaded guilty to manslaughter. The 39-year-old's plea deal calls for him to get 5 to 15 years in prison. And only in Newsday, a judge has delayed the resentencing of former Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano. It was scheduled for April 15th, yet there's no word on the new date. A court recently tossed 2 counts of his public corruption case. Now the 62-year-old is currently serving a 12-year sentence. And 6 of Long Island's Forever 21 stores could be closing. The fashion retailer says it's, quote, winding down operations after filing for bankruptcy. There's no timeline on when the stores will actually close. Adventureland is opening for business this week with a new ride on the way. Check it out. The Wave Twister is part of a $10 million redevelopment plan for the park. Now it holds 10 riders and it feels like you're riding a surfboard. Pretty cool. And New Yorkers celebrated St. Patrick's Day at the parade in Manhattan today. The parade passed St. Patrick's Cathedral and ended at Central Park. This was the 264th annual parade. Wow. All right, let's take a quick look at tomorrow's weather, shall we? It was pretty rainy and muggy out today. Well, tomorrow's going to be way different with temps in the mid-50s, sun overhead, just an absolute beauty. We'll have the 7-day forecast later in the broadcast.
The Long Island Railroad says it's cracking down on fare evasion, so if you're on a train without a ticket, there's a good chance you're going to find yourself off of that train standing right here at a station platform.
The Long Island Railroad, those conductors don't play, man. They kick you out.
With fare evasion on the rise throughout the MTA, the LIRR last year instituted some big changes aimed at making sure all customers pay their way. Previously, passengers without a ticket were issued an invoice to pay their fare at a future date and could continue their trip. But in June, the railroad changed the policy to only issue the invoices to passengers who could produce an ID. Now, if you've got no ticket, no way of paying, and no ID, you face automatic ejection from the train and potentially a summons or arrest.
Police come and meet the customer and they take them off the train and they question them and they go through their processes as well.
MTA figures obtained by Newsday show that the number of invoices issued to riders who couldn't pay their fares fell by 43% after the railroad changed its policy from an average of about 15,000 per month to about 8,600. Anthony Simon, who heads the union representing LIRR conductors, said the figures show the new policy is working.
It's working because what's happening, they're seeing the presence of the police on board. They're able to say, hey, if you don't have identification, you can't ride.
The MTA says it loses about $700 million a year in unpaid fares, including more than $24 million on the LIRR. While some riders are happy to see the MTA get tough on fare beaters, others want to see some compassion for people who can't buy a railroad ticket.
I don't feel like you should just kick somebody off the train if that's their only way of transportation. They could be stranded in the middle of the night. It could be a 15-year-old girl. It could be a little boy who doesn't know what they're doing.
Now, one figure that has not gotten better for the Long Island Railroad is the amount of unpaid fares that they eventually recover. Last year, the railroad issued nearly $2 million in invoices to riders who didn't pay their tickets and recovered less than 5% of that. In Mastic Shirley for Newsday TV, I'm Alfonso Castillo.
Get your brackets ready. It's time for March Madness. Bayville's Rick Pitino and his St. John's Red Storm are the number 2 seed in the West region.
Not a long trip for us, and I know the players are all excited, the fans are excited.
A lot of excitement. Joining us to take a look at what's next for the Johnnies is Roger Rubin, who covers St. John's for Newsday. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about the keys here for St. John's if they want to make a deep run in this tournament. What do they need to do?
Well, I'd say that the keys for St. John's to make a deep run fall into two categories. One of them is execution on the court, and the other one is identity. In terms of execution on the court, St. John's defends really well. They have the number one ranked defensive efficiency team in the country, and they offensive rebound. They are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the nation, and Zuby Ejiofor, their starting center, is the number one offensive rebounder in the country. In terms of their personality, what this team does really well is there's great effort. Like it's noticeable how hard they're working when they're playing defense. Also, they're incredibly resourceful. They have fallen into deficits and come back from them to win. They have overcome things that they don't do very well, like shoot three-point shots and make free throws. And they've overcome them with the things that they do well, stopping the other team from scoring and getting second chances with their rebounding.
All right, great. So what do you think their chances of winning are?
I would say that they're pretty good. Certainly, Omaha is in the NCAA tournament for the first time. They're a number 15 seed out of a one-bid conference. Coach Pitino will tell everybody he's lost in the first round and he doesn't look past anything, and I think you can believe him on that. But St. John's is from a power conference, a 30-win team before they got into the NCAA tournament, and a pretty strong group.
All right, we'll wait and see. Thank you so much, Roger. Appreciate it. You can read more about St. John's on Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.
It's a huge homecoming for an internationally acclaimed vocalist. I'm Elisa DiStefano, catching up with Long Island's own Christopher Macchio.
He told me, he said, this is going to be really big for you, Christopher.
He's become known as the presidential tenor, marking a major milestone in his career, performing the national anthem at the 47th presidential inauguration of Donald Trump.
It was a privilege to perform for the country, and now it'll be a privilege to perform for the people I grew up with right here on Long Island.
Macchio will headline his first show here at the Paramount in Huntington on Saturday, March 29th. It's special for the singer who was first discovered at Sachem North High School.
I really just wanted to keep to myself, and to get that Regents diploma requirement at the time, you had to have a music credit. And once the chorus teacher heard me sing, it took some cajoling, but once he heard me sing, he said, you have a gift that you have an obligation to share with the world.
That gift has taken him all over the world, selling out concerts as one of the 3 New York tenors. He's grateful that gift has now brought him back home.
I'm a regular, everyday guy who grew up in Long Island, who happened to have been given a very big, powerful voice and the Italian heart and passion to deliver that music in a very powerful way. And so we're gonna have repertoire that covers some classical music, but also some of the wonderful 80s rock ballads that I grew up with here on Long Island.
Like what? Like what?
You'll have to find out. No, you'll find out. But let's just say I had the opportunity at the White House to perform with some of the members of Journey, in addition to, of course, music that reminds all of us of how much we love Long Island and how much we love our country. And so I want the opportunity to celebrate that as well.
And don't stop believing.
Exactly. You said it. She said it, folks.
All right, let's take a closer look at your 7-day forecast, shall we? Like I said, tomorrow is going to be a dream of the day with temps in the mid-50s. As you can see, Thursday is the official start of spring. Temps are going to be in the 50s until we get to Friday where we get some rain. But look at this, we are warming up and it's going to be a nice one.
Long Island weather is brought to you by PTRC.
You're watching Newsday TV. For more on all the stories you've seen here today, head over to newsday.com. I'm Ken Buffa. Thank you so much for joining us.